Welcome back to Biz Lounge. We're with PwC's India head today, and now we'll take a look at how Deepak made his way to the top.
When you hear the word elections, you probably think of politicians trying to woo the public for their votes. At PwC India, the concept of electing the leader of the firm through a democratic process has been in practice for 5 years now and is quite different than most corporate governance structures.
Out of all professional services firms in India, PwC was the first one 5 years back when we said that we will actually have a governance structure, and within that governance structure we will have the chairman, which is the senior partner, elected by the rest of the partners of the network firms.
Deepak's association with PwC dates back to 1978. Just 18 years old then, Deepak joined the company as an intern, only to rise through the ranks over the years as he transformed himself into a dynamic leader.
He's an extremely easy person to work with. It's fun to work with him. He also makes sure that you get enough flexibility to manage your work-life balance. So it's not just giving flexibility to women alone, or it's equally there for all the people in the organization. And that gives you a great comfort, because then it means that you're responsible for the work. You can run it the way you want to do it.
I believe in a very straightforward, simple, participative leadership. And I think it's for very clear couple of reasons. One, that it's a large partnership, very different from a corporate structure. So participative is the only thing it works. My way or highway possibly doesn't work.
I think Deepak is fun to have him around. He's a fun-loving person. He might look serious, but he's got a great sense of humor.
You were elected chairman by a group of your peers. Tell us about some of the pros and cons of this process.
Well, different network firms of PwC in India, when the election happened, were about 100 or so partners stroke executive directors. And those are the peers you are rightly talking about, and they had to elect. Now, when you do an election in a professional services firm where you have thousands of people, many of them may not even know each other than just perhaps by name.
Right.
It's a different thing that you look at the papers and you look at, which of the candidates is stronger, and then put a vote. But in about 100 partner stroke executive directors of different network firms, you almost know everyone. So this process appears to be a little embarrassing for people. You'll say, look, I know both the candidates or all the three candidates, and how would I do that? So I think some of those issues like that, I think everything else is good about it, because if you actually do elect your leader for a period of time, there is an internal pressure on that person to perform, as well as there is a contentment among the peers that, look, they have decided who their leader is, and the leader has not been nominated or appointed.
How long is your term?
The present term is 3 years.
Do you get a chance to run again?
Well, yeah, the governance says that I could run for another term.
Do you plan to?
Well, it's too soon to see. We're still about half the time to go, so we'll decide as the time comes.
Any special qualities you need to lead a group of your peers?
Well, I believe a whole lot of qualities you need. It's not just a question of leading your peers, it's more a question of working together with your peers. You do need to have a vision and a strategy, which has to be your own, because you are obviously the leader.
Right.
But then I think you need to take all of them together, which is a little different from the corporate world, where you have one chairman or managing director, and and then there's a perfect pyramid below that. This is, our kind of organizations are more lateral. And there is more collaborative and participative kind of management and leadership, which I believe works here more.
Also, PwC has a large Generation Y workforce with an average age in the mid-20s. Tell us how they're transforming office life and what you're doing as a leader to keep up.
Yeah, well, we figured out, a few months back that with that kind of average age, you can't just be forcing your own views at early 50s or so on those mid-20 people, right? And so we started doing a whole lot of listening to them and surveys, etc., to say, what does this generation want in terms of how do they want to work. And we found that they expect a whole lot of flexibility. You know, as much against people saying that people want money and that's the only driver which drives them, I beg to differ. I think it's things like flexibility, things like work-life balance, and things like how the organization makes you feel, you know, one of your own and you're listened to, are the things which we are trying to follow.
What are some of the biggest challenges you face as the chairman of the company, some of the hard decisions that you have to make as its head?
Well, you know, for somebody who's been with the organization for almost 35 years, I had a challenge that I knew almost everybody, whether it's a senior person or a junior person, most of the leadership group in any case. And then to take some of those hard decisions, you know, even at times asking somebody to leave the organization, etc., I believe was, at a personal level, one of the very, very hard things to do.
Like you mentioned, you've been with the organization for over 3 decades now. Tell us how PwC happened for you.
Well, it was soon after I qualified as a graduate, so as BCom, and then I was told and persuaded to do chartered accountancy, and little did I realize that on those years in 1978 you actually needed to be registered with a chartered accountancy firm, which for some reason I hadn't. And I was fortunate to have a rank in the university, but when I went from firm to firm, I was told that you don't have a registration. And so I was almost settling in my mind to do my articleship, which is a training period with a very small firm. And in one of those small firm interviews, I was waiting for the partners of that firm to call me in. There was this gentleman who may have been maybe a year or so senior to me as an article clerk. He called me and talked to me and said, what kind of percentage do you have and what? And when he saw that I had actually a merit rank in the university, he said, what are you doing here? So I said, look, everyone has a registration and I can't help it. He said, no, but I know of one firm, it's called Pricewaterhouse, and he actually took me to the window, showed me that building across the road, and said, I know that they don't take registered students. So you go and try your luck there, I'm sure on merit you will get selected. And that's what it happened.
Wow.
You know, the only regret I can tell you I have is that I could not ask name of that senior of mine to ever thank him after for giving me such great hint.
Yeah, maybe he's watching today.
Well, I hope so too.
What's the legacy you wish to leave behind as the chairman of PwC?
Can I be a little immodest?
Please.
Well, I would like people to say that here was this man who led one of the finest professional services firms in India by delivering value-added quality service to clients and offering careers to enthusiastic people in a flexible environment.
That's not immodest. Okay, Deepak, we have to take another quick break, but when we get back, we'll explore some of Deepak's fun side.